Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over with.
Conor McGregor couldn't resist sharing his thoughts on the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight, and his reaction was as dismissive as it was entertaining.
What about him fighting Tank? The size difference.
I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. Somewhat similar to the Tyson bout. I'm indifferent to it.
Speaking with Des Unboxing, the Irish superstar admitted that while he's mildly curious about the spectacle, he doesn't really care much for it. His reaction felt casual, almost detached, like someone watching a show rather than a serious sporting event. Fans expecting McGregor to throw harsh words at Jake Paul were surprised. Instead, he laughed off the matchup. He'd probably just catch the highlights online rather than sit through the whole fight. It was classic McGregor, blunt, amused, and perfectly unbothered.
What about him fighting Tank? The size difference.
I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. Somewhat similar to the Tyson bout. I'm indifferent to it. Be curious to see. I'm not invested in it, you know.
I don't think I can get invested.
I'll watch on X, alright. I'll watch the highlights on X, alright.
At 37, McGregor's still one of the biggest names in combat sports, even while sidelined. He's currently serving an 18-month suspension for failing to provide accurate whereabouts for drug testing 3 times, though it's worth noting he's never actually failed a test. The ban, which dates back to September 2024, allows him to return in March 2026, just in time for his planned UFC comeback. Until then, he seems content watching the chaos from a distance, weighing in only when the mood strikes in.
Just recently, the UFC suspended Conor McGregor for the anti-doping policies that he for the restriction on that. Is he still going to be considered for the White House card, since that'll be up in March?
I don't know. We're not even looking at the White House card till February. We have literally not talked about one fight on the White House card yet. We won't even start till February. Okay. And then whether he's available or not, talk to Nowitzki about that.
The Davis vs. Paul fight has become one of the most talked about events in boxing, though not everyone's praising it. Some see it as a fun crossover, while others think it's making a mockery of the sport. The matchup pits the lightweight powerhouse Gervonta Tank Davis against YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul, a man who's several weight classes heavier. The bout is scheduled for November 14th at the Casillas Center in Miami, and despite being labeled an exhibition, it's stirred up as much debate as a world title fight. Lamont Roach, one of Davis's former opponents, didn't hold back when asked about the fight. Roach was supposed to face Davis in a rematch after their controversial draw earlier this year, but that plan was scrapped when Davis signed on to fight Paul instead. For Roach, the whole thing feels like a slap in the face. He's accused Davis of dodging their contracted fight and walking straight into what he calls a circus act. Roach believes Davis has chosen entertainment over competition, claiming that taking on a man nearly 50 pounds heavier isn't bravery, it's avoidance.
He went and took a circus show fight. And, you know, he said he was going to retire. I believe him.
Why do you say it's a circus show fight?
It's just for and giggles. Jake Paul's 200 pounds, and he's whatever he is. So.
Spoke to Roberto Diaz over in Florida, and I know he's part of your team. He was a little bit upset when all that news came out. He called it a duck. Would you call it a duck?
For sure. You can call it a spade, for sure. You know, if we're contracted to fight, and you go and take another fight, you breach that contract, you go take another fight, that's a clear duck. I mean, obviously. So.
While Roach fumes, other fighters have taken a more analytical approach. David Benavidez, for one, has predicted fireworks. He doesn't see the fight going the distance, expecting an explosive finish instead. Benavidez has never been a fan of exhibition bouts himself, but he admitted this one could be good for the sport in terms of entertainment. He pointed out that Jake Paul will likely outweigh Davis by at least 40 pounds in fight night, which is a massive difference, but said that size alone won't determine the outcome. Davis, despite being much smaller, carries frightening knockout power, and Benavidez believes that makes things unpredictable.
I'm not trying to disrespect Jake Paul and Tank's fight, but it is what it is. I want to see it. It's a little. It's a trip because, you know, Jake Paul, he's a big fighter and he's been getting power. He's been getting stronger and he's been doing what he's supposed to do. He's been improving as a fighter, but Gervonta Davis is Gervonta Davis. And what I like about this fight, that Gervonta Davis, he's a smaller fighter, but he's not a boxer. He's a fucking killer. So it's just, I want to see, like, how he reacts to a punch from Jake, and that's if Jake can even catch him. You know what I mean? But this is gonna be a better exhibition fight because Gervonta is not gonna be running from him. He's gonna be trying to hurt him every single round. So it's gonna be a good fight. You know what I mean? But as for the exhibition fights, I'm not thinking about any exhibition fights. I'm thinking about getting these world titles, and then if there's an opportunity, maybe in 5-10 years, and we'll go down that route as well.
Yeah, it's just knowing how long Tank's been in boxing, and like, I know how it is when you guys step in the ring, whether it's an exhibition or not. Like, once you get touched, it's like you see red and you're like, okay, let's go. And like, that's where I think, like, he's not.
Sometimes, what if there's the only question is, what if a flush punch lands from a 200? Because Jake is gonna weigh 190, but he's gonna be 210 on a fighter that's 150, 140. You know what I mean? So, and there's, what is it gonna be, 12 rounds?
Yeah. That I'm not sure. I think it's 10 ounce, but they're trying to lower the glove size. It was 12 ounce gloves. They're trying to lower the gloves to like 8 or 10.
So I mean, if it's 8 ounce gloves, I mean, it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Jake Paul, because those 8 ounces are small, bro. They're really small. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be a good night of boxing. I mean, it's good for the city of Miami, and then we'll see who's on the undercard. But you know, we ain't hating on it. I mean, it's good for boxing, and you know, hopefully we get a knockout.
But not everyone is charmed by the spectacle. Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier called the matchup absurd and said it exposes how far boxing has drifted from its roots. He argued that letting a lightweight face a cruiserweight in a sanctioned setting damages the sport's credibility. Cormier acknowledged that Jake Paul has carved out his own niche as a crossover star, but he also said that fights like this blur the line between real competition and performance art. He believes the bout shouldn't even be happening and urged boxing promoters to stop enabling such mismatches.
We were yelling so much about him fight somebody your size. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135 pounds.
Adding more intrigue, Shakur Stevenson, one of boxing's biggest rivals, has reportedly offered to help Jake Paul prepare. According to Paul, Stevenson reached out personally, alongside other fighters like Montana Love, Jamaine Ortiz, and Erickson Lubin. The plan is to bring in quick southpaw sparring partners who can mimic Davis's movement and speed. The move raised eyebrows considering the heated rivalry between Stevenson and Davis. For years, the two have taken verbal shots at each other without ever stepping into the ring. So, Stevenson helping Paul feels like a sly jab at his rival. It's a surprising twist that adds another layer of tension to an already chaotic buildup.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn also weighed in, admitting he's baffled by the whole thing. He said, "It's hard to understand why Davis, still in his prime and with plenty of top opponents available, would risk his reputation by taking on someone so much bigger and less experienced." Hearn mentioned that there were once talks of Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, which would have made far more sense size-wise. But instead, the matchup ended being Davis. To Hearn, the decision feels strange, almost reckless. He doesn't see how the fight benefits Davis's career and believes it might do more harm than good in the long run.
Big news, Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. Not a real fight, an exhibition fight, November the 15th.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting going from heavyweight to lightweight very quickly. We knew that Jake would potentially take a fight this side of the year. I think I was the first one to say about 3 or 4 months ago that fight was agreed between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. I wasn't expecting it to be announced today, but it is what it is. I'm not you know, I've had a lot of media asking me my opinion of it today. It is what it is. I think on one side you have to understand the business of it. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these 14-ounce gloves. I don't know what it's going to be, but like, you know, you've now got Jake, who's a 210, 220 pounder fighting a 135 pounder. Bit weird, but at the same time, you know, I can't be a hypocrite and say, if you're Gervonta Davis and you're being offered 20, 30, 40 million, whatever the number is, and you're getting 7 or 8 to fight Lamont Roach in a 50-50, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe the kid's half checked out of the game anyway, you know? So I think as long as we kind of established it's not boxing and it's just this entertainment thing, then I get it. But, you know, I think it probably, a lot of people are saying, you know, do you still want to fight him? Anthony. It's like, we never really wanted to fight him. We were never really looking for the fight. We were approached about the fight and we would have said yes. Whether they actually ever wanted to fight him or whether it was just, you know, for a bit of clout. But if he did want to fight, probably does change things a little bit now because, you know, if he gets beat up by Gervonta or, I don't know, like, I just don't know what's going to happen, but that's the freakiness of it. So I can't really knock it, but it's just not really for me.
Meanwhile, boxing veteran Tim Bradley offered a different perspective. He thinks Davis might be looking at the bigger picture, or rather the final picture. Bradley speculated that this fight could be part of Davis's farewell run, suggesting that the lightweight star could be planning to retire soon. He even floated the idea of Davis facing Manny Pacquiao in the near future, a fantasy matchup that would attract massive attention and money. If that's the case, Bradley believes the Paul fight is less about legacy and more about maximizing earnings before walking away.
With his kids hanging out singing Kumbaya songs. That this is it. One of them right here. I think he gonna have 2. This is one. The next one gonna be Manny Pacquiao, I think. And then I think that's when he gonna get up and he gonna say, "Bye boxing. Thank you so much." Yup. And guess what? They gonna be 2 years from now. They gonna be saying, Tank Davis. Do you know who this is? Yeah. This is the Hall of Fame. Yep. Tank Davis getting in the Hall of Fame. I don't give a damn what anybody say. Watch what happens.
Teddy Atlas, the longtime boxing analyst, chimed in to offer a balanced view. He admitted that the weight gap is absurd, but he also reminded fans not to underestimate Davis's punching power. Atlas pointed out that Davis has ended 28 of his 31 fights by knockout, and that if he lands clean on Jake Paul, even the bigger man could crumble. He sees the matchup as dangerous precisely because Davis fights with bad intentions in every round. His last knockout against Frank Martin in 2024 proved that his power translates across opponents, and that's what keeps this fight from being a complete mismatch.
What if Tank Davis, who can punch, who is a hell of a fighter, who is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, what if he lands a punch on this bigger guy's chin, right, who's not a professional fighter? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know the size difference is what creates the problem.
Even UFC president Dana White decided to join the conversation, voicing concerns about the massive physical differences between the two men. He questioned whether Davis, as skilled and explosive as he is, could realistically overcome such a size disadvantage. White's comments reflected the broader skepticism in combat sports circles, where many are torn between viewing the fight as an exciting novelty or a step too far in circus territory.
He's going to fight Gervonta Davis. It's like when you
who do you got?
You guys need to fight guys your same size. You know what I mean? When you fought Floyd, you are massive. You're a massive dude. Floyd's tiny. And I'm sure when you were training, you're like, all right, I'm going to hit this guy with a couple punches and grab him, tie him up. And he did hit you with a bomb of an overhand right one time. And you ate it. You ate that punch. And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than Floyd. But he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up, but I don't hate your brother.
On the other hand, Teofimo Lopez kept an open mind. He refused to dismiss Jake Paul outright, pointing out that the YouTuber has steadily improved with each outing. Lopez said boxing is unpredictable and that anything can happen, especially when one fighter has such a big size advantage. He didn't go as far as predicting an upset, but he didn't rule it out either, suggesting that the sport has seen stranger results before.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens. You know, we expected Mike Tyson to do something, didn't go out that way. Jake Paul's training very hard, so, you know, kudos to both guys. I'm not going to critique them. You know, only support them.
Then there is Mike Perry, one of Jake Paul's past opponents, who has his own doubts about Davis's mindset. Perry, who was taught by Paul in their fight last year, said he doesn't think Davis is as hungry as he used to be. He referenced Davis's recent draw with Roach as evidence that the fire might be fading. Perry respects Davis's skills, but hinted that motivation could be an issue, especially against a younger, bigger opponent who's obsessed with proving himself. If Davis isn't mentally locked in, Jake might surprise everyone.
Jake is big. Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, I mean, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Put together, the range of opinions surrounding this fight is unlike anything boxing's seen in a long time. Whether it turns out to be a spectacle or a disaster, one thing's clear. The Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight has everyone talking. It's the kind of matchup that captures both the best and worst sides of modern boxing. The unpredictability, the marketing genius, and the constant battle between authenticity and showmanship. For fans, it might be hard to take seriously, but for promoters, it's gold.